welcome to another edition of Patriot Talk Radio. I'm your host, Sam Macbeth, and on today's show, we've got a lot of great stuff we got to get to. I've got interviews with Special Teams Coordinator Chris Kuzmersky. I also have an interview with General Manager John Spice of the Steel City Patriots, wide receiver Andre Bailey, wide receiver Wes Ayton, and a whole lot more. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Plus, we're going to take a look at the schedule for this week, the home and away. We're going to look at the team stats for the year and where they place based on this on the league, and a whole lot more. So be sure and sit back, relax, and enjoy. This is Patriot Talk Radio on Niagara Community Radio, and I'm your host, Sam Macbeth. We'll be right back.
Are you a fan of 90s alternative music? If so, check out Christian B's 90s Rush, a new show every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. only on Niagara Community Radio.
Hello and welcome back to the show. This week was the final week of the regular season for the Northern Football Conference, and all the teams were in action except for the first place overall GTA All-Stars, who had their bye week this week. And looking at the out-of-town scoreboard, Sarnia soundly defeated the Oakville Longhorns 41-0. Ottawa defeated Sudbury 28-25. Sault Ste. Marie defeated North Bay 29-0. And the Steel City Patriots, they defeated the Tri-City Outlaws 44-3, which we will be talking about in just a little bit. And with all the games in now, we take a look at the standings for the league, with the 8 teams making the playoffs. It was the GTA All-Stars going with a 7-1 record, 269 points for, 59 points again, and are currently on a 2-game winning streak because they were defeated by Ottawa earlier in the season. Coming in second is the first place in the West, Sarnia Imperials at 6-2. They have 267 points for, 152 against, and are currently on a 4-game winning streak. And the reason that they get second place over SCP, who has the same 6-2 record, was because, as you recall, the Sarnia Imperials defeated the Steel City Patriots 42-34 back in week 5. And unfortunately, that puts the Steel City Patriots in third place with an equal 6-2 record, 262 points for, 97 points against, and are currently on a 3-game winning streak, having defeated Tri-City twice and Ottawa once in that span. In fourth place comes the Ottawa Sooners. They have a 5-3 record with 151 points for, 125 points against, and they're on a 1-game winning streak, having defeated the Sudbury Spartans 28-25 in a game in which they came back in the fourth quarter. They were down after 3 quarters and had to come back to win that game, and did so to solidify their spot in fourth. The Sudbury Spartans come in fifth with a 5-3 record as well, 238 points for, 156 against, and they're currently on a 2-game losing streak, so they'll be hoping to fix that as they host the Ottawa Sooners on Saturday. Next up, it is the Sioux Steelers in 6th place with a 4-4 record, 154 points for, 112 against, and on a 1-game winning streak, and they get to go into Stony Creek to take on the Steel City Patriots at Cardinal Newman Stadium. That game will be at 6 o'clock. We'll talk a bit about that as the show goes along, and the other games as well. In 7th place, it's the Oakville Longhorns with a 2-6 record. They have 97 points for and a whopping 241 against, which is among the highest in the league, and they're currently on a 1-game losing streak. Finally, in the playoff run, it is the Tri-City Outlaws with a 1-7 record. They have 76 points for, 259 against, and are currently on a 3-game losing streak. And of course, in ninth place, it is the 0-8 North Bay Bulldogs, who over the last few weeks have improved drastically, solidifying their spot as a contender in the coming years. That's a look at the scoreboard and the standings. Now we're going to take a look at the schedule for this week for the games, and it's going to be a great set of games, with the Tri-City Outlaws traveling to Toronto to take on the GTA All-Stars. But please, if you are thinking of going to the game, please note the game is at Birchmount Stadium at 9 p.m. on Saturday, as opposed to at Terry Fox Field at Chincoosea Park in Brampton. The second game has the Ottawa Sooners traveling back to Sudbury to James Jerome Stadium to take on the Sudbury Spartans. That game will be a 7 o'clock kickoff. The Oakville Longhorns will be going to Sarnia to take on the first place Imperials, who are really on a roll right now, having won 4 in a row. And that game will be going at 7 p.m. at Norm Perry Stadium. And your Steel City Patriots, they'll be enjoying a home quarterfinal game as the Sioux Steelers come in from Sault Ste. Marie to take on the Patriots at 6 p.m. And we just do want to remind you that tickets are $10 for the game. Children under 12 are free. And we want to remind you to please bring some non-perishable food items. It's been a very successful campaign this year, and we'll be talking a little bit about that a little later on. And we want to say a very special thank you to all of you for taking part and helping us out with that project. Almost 700 pounds of food has made its way to St. Matthew's House, and we're hoping to have in the next week or so the final totals for the season. But we are still continuing on in the playoffs, so please, if you have some food that you're not going to be using that's non-perishable, please bring it to the stadium. We'll make sure it gets to St. Matthew's House and to the proper people. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the Steel City Patriot stats situation. You're listening to Patriot Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Sam Macbeth. Don't you go away.
Hi, everybody. Joe Crawford here with you, inviting you to join me every Friday night here on Niagara Community Radio for our Friday night dance party. Every Friday night from 10 p.m. to midnight, no matter how hard or easy of a work week you've had, listen to us. Get your Friday night moves and grooves on and join us, will ya? Now, you can be a part of our Friday night dance party, especially if you email us info@joecrawfordlive.com for any tunes you want to hear. Could be rap, country, oldies, soft rock, hip-hop, top 40, you name it, we play it. It's your Friday night dance party every Friday night, 10 p.m. to midnight, here on Niagara Community Radio.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Right now we're going to take a look at the statistical story for the Steel City Patriots this year and some of the leaders in the different categories and how they did against the rest of the Northern Football Conference. And we're going to start off on offense because that's what we do. And starting off with the quarterback position, we will get to that in a moment. But we want to start off with the scoring summary first. In first place for the Steel City Patriots, it was A.J. Jack. A.J. Jack had 707 yards of receiving over the course of the year and 8 touchdowns, plus 2 on returns for the Steel City Patriots. And that was good enough for 66 points, which not only led the Patriots, but tied for first in the Northern Football Conference. And while we're in the scoring department, we'll take a look at the kicking department. Adam Pallett had 6 field goals, 32 point after attempts, and a total of 50 points for the Steel City Patriots, which led the way for kickers because he was the only kicker, so it wasn't very difficult. But also, he was first place overall for kickers in that category with a total of 50 points, and that led the league. He also led the way with 6 field goals, which was the most by anybody in the league, and was a good job by the second-year kicker. Next, we're going to take a look at the quarterback situation. It was Graham Kelly leading the way for the Steel City Patriots with 1,113 yards and 14 TDs with no interceptions. And that was after 4 full games and 2 half games. And the 2 half games, let me explain, were both against Tri-City and both were victories. In the first game, the game was called at just after halftime, with just over 7 minutes left to go in the third quarter due to a medical emergency on the bench. And the final game, Graham was pulled in the second half for backup quarterback Denzel Roca so that Denzel could get some playing time and get some reps with the starting offense in case he's needed during the playoffs. So Graham had 1,113 yards, 14 TDs, and no interceptions, which was good enough for first on the Patriots and second overall in the league. Dan Seymour, he had 71 carries for 482 yards and 3 TDs for the Steel City Patriots to lead the way in the rushing department. And that stat line was good enough for third place overall in the Northern Football Conference. So congratulations to Dan Seymour on a good season with 482 yards. In the receiving department, it was A.J. Jack, who had 27 receptions for 707 yards and 8 TDs, which was good enough for first place overall on the Patriots, but good enough for second place in the league. And Johan Jenkins, the outstanding receiver who came over from Oakville last year, he had 24 receptions, 428 yards, and 3 TDs, which was good enough for 5th place overall in the Northern Football Conference. So the Steel City Patriots did fairly well in the top 5 in every category in the Northern Football Conference. So congratulations to all of those players. But right now we're going to turn our attention to the defense, and we're going to start things off with Dustin Murray. Dustin Murray led the league and the team, obviously, in tackles with 38.5 tackles. That was good enough for first place. And Ice Savory, he comes in with 24 tackles, which was good enough for second place on the Steel City Patriots and a top 5 spot in the Northern Football Conference. The next category we're going to take a look at is sacks, and we have a 3-way tie for first place on the Steel City Patriots. It's Cody Baxter, Thomas Corneal, and Tristan Butler, all with 3 sacks apiece. The difference being Cody Baxter had 32 yards in losses with his 3 sacks, while Thomas Corneal had 28 yards with his 3 sacks, and Tristan Butler had 24 yards with his 3 sacks, and those 3 sacks by each player was good enough to tie for second place overall in the league. Tyler Bistrovich, he had 3 interceptions for 121 yards and 1 touchdown. That ranked 10th on the league radar, but led the Steel City Patriots in interceptions. Swishton Spring, he had 1 forced fumble, which was tied for 4th in the Northern Football Conference. So congratulations to Swishton for being in the top 5 in forced fumbles. Tyler Bistrovich, he wasn't done with just the interceptions. He had 3 knockdown balls over the course of the season, which tied him for 7th overall in the league, but led the team in that stat. And finally, Dustin Murray. He had 2 fumble recoveries for 20 return yards, which was good enough for second place in the league. But the return yards was good enough for first overall in the league. And congratulations to Dustin on that stat. When we come back, we've got a great interview for you. It's going to be offensive coordinator Jeff Brock coming up. You're listening to Patriot Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Sam Macbeth.
This is Kathleen Massacre from the Kathleen Massacre Ska and Reggae Show. We play 2 hours of ska and reggae from early Jamaican right the way through to the modern releases, going through every single sub-genre. So join me on a Tuesday at 1 p.m. or Saturday from 9 p.m. on Niagara Community Radio, Kathleen Massacre Ska and Reggae Show.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Right now, we're going to take a moment to talk to one of the coaches from the Steel City Patriots, offensive coordinator Jeff Brock. Jeff came to the team this year after spending last year as a interested observer for the Steel City Patriots when they were in Burlington at Nelson Stadium, as he is the head coach of the Nelson Lords of the OSSA High School Football League. And this year he has come on board and brought his dad along with him, and a couple of great coaches, Neil Lumsden and Mike Samples, just to name a couple. And right now we're going to sit back, take a moment to talk to Coach Jeff Brock right here on Patriot Talk Radio. Hope you enjoy. With me now is offensive coordinator Jeff Brock. And Coach Brock, thanks for doing the show.
No problem.
Let's talk about the offense and break it down just a little bit. We'll start off at the quarterback position. You've got Graham Kelly at quarterback right now. How did it come about that Graham Kelly became your quarterback, and what is the quarterback situation as it stands now?
Well, the situation right now is he's the starter, and Denzel is a very capable backup. I guess he had a chance to be the starter coming out of camp, but he was obviously away with the Alouettes at training camp, and then down in the States at another tryout. And so we had went in a different direction at quarterback. But once we got him back in, I think it's changed the dynamic of the offense with the number of playmaking receivers we've got.
Now, we had Josh Madden at the beginning of the season, and he did a fairly good job, but there was not a lot of passing yardage. Do you feel that Graham has opened up the offense a little bit for the running backs and for the receivers?
I think he has, yeah. I mean, he does have a big-time arm, and that's not to say that Josh didn't play well in his 2 games. I think Josh played very well in his 2 games, but I mean, it's tough to keep a guy with the athletic talent of Graham off the field. He certainly can stretch a defense out, which maybe we couldn't do before. And I think it is opening up some space in the run game. We had up until some hiccups the other night in Sarnia, we'd rush for over 100 yards in both those games. So.
Now, looking at the running backs, you've got a plethora of decisions to make. Daniel Seymour is being the workhorse at this point. Is your running back position doing everything that you expected it to?
I think it is. He's a bit banged up right now, but he runs tough when he's in there. Stephon Smith can do both. He can block, he can run, and he's also a pretty good pass catcher. And we've got a couple of other tailbacks in the mix, and then when we need them, Thomas Corneal comes over from the defense to give us a bit more pop back there. So we certainly like to keep platooning the group and keep them all fresh.
Now, taking a look at the wide receivers, you've got a great receiving core. You've got Archelaus Jack, or AJ. You've got Cordell Lewis, Johan Jenkins. You've got just a great lineup. And now teams are starting to worry about the offense. Do you feel that that's the goal you wanted right away, or did you want to be able to fool some people longer?
I guess it's a good problem to have with all that talent. I think the issue for the past few years here has been a bit of an inability to move the ball on offense. And so certainly I would much rather be able to move the ball and have people worried about it than trying to disguise things. I mean, it's no surprise that AJ is a talent, but we're trying to get the ball around to everybody. And we struggled. We dropped some balls we should have caught and had a couple of bad penalties in Sarnia that probably changed the game. So we're looking for that receiver core to bounce back this week.
Now you mentioned a couple of bad penalties. That seems to be a thing with our team. Some games will have very little penalties, like with GTA. Yeah. We were very low on the penalty scale. And then we go up against a team like Sudbury, and we're almost at 200 yards. Do you feel that, and I hate to use the term, but do you feel we play to the level of our opponent?
I think at times, I think our guys struggle sometimes with focus and with their discipline. I mean, our penalties always seem to come at the worst possible time. We've either got them stopped on third down, or we've converted a third down to move the ball, and we take a silly penalty. I mean, frankly, a lot of our penalties are, undisciplined penalties. I don't mind the odd good hit. If we take a penalty for that, fine, but the late hit, the taunting, the receivers going offside, they should be looking at a ball. Just silly penalties seem to be killing us right now.
Now, just one last question before we go. We've got 3 games left. We play Tri-City, then we go home to Ottawa, and then home to Tri-City. Have you set a goal for how you want those games to work out, other than the fact we want to win them all?
Yeah, I think we just got to continue to clean up the mistakes we've been making, and I think the wins will take care of themselves. Certainly we want to win those 3 and finish 6-2, and certainly with the out-of-town scores from last weekend, I think everything is wide open going into the playoffs, which I think is great for the rest of the league. It's not GTA by a landslide. It's 3, 4, 5 teams that all have a shot at it. So we just have to worry about cleaning up our own mistakes, and we'll be ready to go when the playoffs roll around.
Well, thanks for taking the time for us. This is offensive coordinator Jeff Brock, also head coach of the Nelson Lords in OFSA high school football. And you're listening to Patriot Talk Radio, and we'll be back right after this.
Downloading important transmission. Please stand by. For the best synth-pop, electronica, new wave and new romantic music, tune into Electric City with Fred Setters right here on your favorite radio station. Bringing you chart hits and classic cuts from the golden age of the synthesizer in the 1970s and 80s, as well as all the latest releases. Check the station's website for broadcast times for Electric City, where music and machines live as one. Message complete.
Next up is a great interview with our special teams coordinator, Chris Kuzmirsky Sr. We had a chance to talk to him after practice this week as we prepare for the Sioux Steelers to come into town. And we talked a little bit about the team, the season, what it's like to have family working with him, and his accolade that he will be receiving coming up this September. But right now, we want to take a little bit of time and introduce you to the special teams coordinator for the Steel City Patriots, the leader of the Special K. This is Chris Kuzmirsky Sr. on Patriot Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Sam Macbeth.
With me right now is special teams coordinator Chris Kuzmirsky Sr. And Chris, thanks for doing the show.
No problem, Sam.
Now, we've come to the end of the regular season. The team ends up 6-2. We had a fairly good season. We ran with GTA All-Stars, holding them to just 9 points, and which none of them were giving up on defense. It was just an offensive mistake that happens, and the giving up of a safety. So it was a very good season overall. And with the special teams, we have ourselves a really good kicker in Adam Pallett. How do you feel his season went?
His season is the second year of having Adam here, obviously, and He was a decent kicker last year to start, but he's been at a couple camps down south. He's worked very hard on his own time outside of practice time, and developed a very, very strong leg. So not only is the leg stronger, but there's more accuracy that's come along with it, with placing kickoffs right where we want them to go, as opposed to just banging the ball. And convert and field goal percentage has been really, really strong and really good. So we're very pleased with the progress of Adam.
And his punting, he's been averaging over 45 yards a punt. Is that something you want? Is he able to kick the short punt if necessary?
We haven't really worked too much on any trickery or short, placed punts. We have asked him a couple of times to work now on short side of the field, or obviously punting out of bounds. No punt returner likes to punt out of bounds because it kind of hurts their average in their head, but it helps the team. So we've convinced him that it's all about team, not just average. So he is working on getting them at least from the numbers to the sideline and giving us a chance to pin them deep.
Now, special teams as a whole has been one of the strong suits of the Patriots this year, and that comes to a good line, a good set of returners. When we're kicking, a good set of guys that are willing to go out there and play hard. How is that different from last year?
It's just numbers, okay? It's my second year associated with this team, and I am used to teams that have numbers and people showing up. I understand 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago was a struggle when you don't have a lot of guys repping things out at practice. Special teams kind of get put on the back burner, on the back shelf, and they seem to be thrown in 10 minutes of the last practice before a game, or even right before a game, rounding up 12 guys. Whereas with numbers, we've been getting out to practices the last couple of years, and they're growing and getting stronger. We're able to actually rep out special teams in units of 12 and have everybody looking at their assignments and looking at their blocks and returns, so we can set up returns, we can set up blocking schemes, and you need the people around to do that. You don't just put it on paper. It's nice to be able to rep it out.
I've seen on some teams where players don't really want to do special teams. Are the players excited to do special teams here because of the success of the group?
It comes right back to numbers, Sam. When you have numbers, not everybody can start on offense, not everybody can start on defense. We have a lot of talented guys who have finally realized that if they want to get on the field, they're pushing us to be on special teams as opposed to us begging them to fill in. So we haven't had a situation at all where we have to go looking for guys. We have a surplus of guys that have asked to get on as many specials as they can, and it's a great dilemma to have.
Now, as I said earlier in the interview, we are at playoff time. Our first game will be coming up this Saturday against the Sault Ste. Marie Steelers. What is the basic game plan? I don't want to go into the depth of it, but what is the basic game plan for this week?
On our specials especially, it's getting good distance on kicks and getting good coverage. Anytime you can keep a team on kickoffs inside their 25-yard line, it's a really great start for the defense. And same with a punt return. If we happen to punt and we're outside of field goal range and we can bang it 40 or 45 yards and we can hold them to a 10-yard return without a penalty, then that's a plus for us as well. So field position is huge, and that's where special teams come in. Offense and defense can drive the ball, but special teams can give you where you're starting. And that's something heading to the playoffs that we have to really focus on, that nobody takes any task easy. All it takes is one guy missing an assignment on a punt or a kickoff, and they can be 6 the other way. So everybody has to pitch in and focus on it.
Now, getting away from the game itself for a little bit, a couple really cool things are happening. You're actually having as your assistant your son. How is it to have him with you coaching?
It's actually rejuvenated my football. As you know, I've been involved basically coaching for 35 years. A lot of it in the middle of my career had to switch to basically to hockey, because when Chris Jr. came along, he only showed interest in hockey. So Dad, the football guy, had to become Dad, the hockey guy. But then when his hockey career was taking as long as it was going to go, up to Bantam, and I guess age 17 or so, he said to me he'd like to get some coaching qualifications and certifications and actually coach some football with me. So to do it together with him has just rejuvenated me 100%. It's like starting all over again, and it's fun. We take it home with us. We talk about it at home through dinners, through my wife and doesn't like it so much when it becomes so much part of it, but it's awesome. I wouldn't change it for anything.
And that's not the only family member you have either. You have John Spice, the team general manager, is a relative as well. And so it's becoming a real family affair. Is it going to be the Steel City Kosmierskis soon?
No, I don't ever want to take over teams or anything like that. But no, John, took him about 6 years, I guess, to convince me to come out and give this a try and give it a help. And then again, when the opportunity with Chris to do it together came about, I said, yeah, let's give it a try. And we haven't regretted a minute of it. We've enjoyed all parts of it.
Now, just one more thing before I let you go. It just recently came out that you are being awarded in September by the City of Hamilton the Adult Distinguished Volunteer Award. How do you feel about that?
You know, I just found out about it within the last week, and I can't really put it to words. I'm humbled. I mean, I'm very, very pleased. I know those functions have gone on for many years where they have recognized people. You don't ever really put yourself in that category. You don't think about it that way. But yeah, I'm absolutely honored, and I'm glad it happened at this point in my career, because 35 years is a long time. But it's going to be exciting. I'll be honored to be there with the other people that have been elected for the same award.
Well, that's great. That gives the Steel City Patriots 6 award winners of that award. So that says a lot about the program. Do you feel that the program is becoming more and more well known as time is going on?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm bite my tongue a little bit, but I'm a Hurricane and ex-Brave and ex-Junior Ticats for many, many years. But this league has come a long way in the last little while. More to the center. I mean, it's been there a long time, but it's finally getting the quality people running things. I mean, we've got a coaching staff of 13 guys. Like that's unheard of. 5-6 years ago, most of these teams are run by one guy and a couple of his buddies. So to have that kind of staff and have some previous CFL guys helping out, it's gone up a notch in my estimation. The league is going in the right direction. It's not even where it needs to be yet. It's still moving in a positive direction. There's teams in 9 different cities now, so it's a strong league numbers wise that way. And I think the quality of football, it's a great entertaining game for people to get out and watch.
Well, I want to thank you for taking some time during practice for me. And this is Chris Kosmierski Sr., Special Teams Coordinator for the Steel City Patriots, and I want to wish you good luck in the playoffs.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Introducing the NT Loveline Show with your host, Neil Tilk. I am pleased beyond punch to bring my show, which spans 5 continents and is heard in over 80 countries, to Niagara Community Radio. Join me every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and again each Friday. Same time, same channel. Together, we'll navigate the slippery slope that is love and relationships as depicted by song.
You wanna get close to me.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Now we're going to take a look at the game coming up this week with the Sioux Steelers and how each team got to where they are coming up on Saturday. We're going to take a look at the Sioux Steelers first, who started off their season by 2 long trips. The first one being to Sarnia, in which they were defeated 36-0, setting up their record at 0-1. The following week, they went to Oakville and defeated the Oakville Longhorns 16-0 in the first of the 2 meetings between the 2 teams. In week 3, the Sault Ste. Marie Steelers had the opportunity to stay home and host the Sudbury Spartans, but unfortunately home cooking didn't help them out too much, as it was a loss to the Spartans 8-6, setting up their record at 1-2 on the season. Next up, they stayed home and North Bay came into town, and North Bay being a weaker team, this was just what the doctor ordered for the Steelers, as they trounced the North Bay Bulldogs 41-6 to even their record at 2-2. And then unfortunately it was a road trip to Sudbury, and they lost that game 28-7 to make it a 2-3 record on the season after 5 weeks. Their 6th game, they were home to the Oakville Longhorns, and Oakville, they were trounced 38-0, which was an interesting statistic as Oakville didn't score a point against the Sioux Steelers all season long. Following that, it was a home game against Sarnia in the second of the two meetings for the season. And unfortunately, it was just like the first game. Sarnia came into town and defeated them 34-17 to give them a 3-4 record on the season, with one game to go at North Bay, which they won 29-0 and ended their season at 4-4, and a trip to see the Steel City Patriots in Stony Creek at Cardinal Newman on Saturday. Taking a look at the season for the Steel City Patriots, the Steel City Patriots came out of the gate with a victory in Ottawa. They defeated the Ottawa Sooners 21-0 in Carleton Stadium to open the season. And then the Northern Football Conference champion GTA All-Stars came to town looking to trounce the Patriots, but unfortunately it was the Patriots who played the better game. Although they lost, they only lost 9-0, giving up a safety in the first half of the game, and the final 7 points were scored on a pick six with 10 seconds left to go in the game on an ill-conceived play by quarterback Josh Madden. Week 3, the Steel City Patriots stayed home to Sudbury and defeated the Sudbury Spartans 34-14 to up their record to 2-1. And then they defeated the Oakville Longhorns in Oakville 54-12 to make it a 3-win, 1-loss record for the Steel City Patriots on the season. After that, they went to Sarnia, and unfortunately, it was one of the longer games the Steel City Patriots have had in the league, and they were defeated 42-34, and the Patriots were driving in the fourth quarter when the game came to its conclusion, and were just a play or two away from possibly tying up the score. Then it was the trip to Waterloo to take on the Tri-City Outlaws at Laurier Stadium, and the game was called after 7 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the third quarter, and the Steel City Patriots leading 47-7, so that becomes an official victory at 47-7 for the Steel City Patriots. The Ottawa Sooners, they came to town hoping to get revenge on the Patriots for the 21-0 loss in Week 1, but unfortunately they lost 28-10, giving the Patriots a 5-2 record on the season. And then Tri-City came to town on Saturday, and they were trounced 44-3 in a game in which the Steel City Patriots played a lot of their backups in the second half of that contest to end up with their season at 6-2. So it will be the 4-4 Sault Ste. Marie Steelers traveling to Stony Creek to Cardinal Newman Stadium to take on the 6-2 Steel City Patriots in quarterfinal action. The game will go on at 7 p.m. Hope you guys can make it. Tickets are on sale right now at the door for $10 a piece, and children under 12 are free. And please don't forget to bring non-perishable food items for the Pure Later Tackle Hunger food drive for St. Matthew's House in Hamilton. When we come back, I've got yet another interview. That's right, we've got wide receiver Andre Bailey. He's coming up next. Don't go away.
With me now is wide receiver Andre Bailey from the Steel City Patriots. And Andre, thanks for doing the show.
No problem.
Now, Andre, you're a veteran of this team. You've been around for a few years. You've seen the ups and the downs of the team. How would you compare the team today as to when you came to the team?
This team this year is a lot better than my previous year back when I first played in 2015. The improvement of everything has been pretty good all around.
Now, like I said, you've been with the team for a while, so you've seen the 1-7 season, you've seen 7-1 season, 6-2. This year, you've come back to the team. You were off for a year, recovering from a concussion. How did it feel to come back and see the amount of coaches that we have now?
It feels amazing to. The coaches are amazing here. The staff is good. I didn't think I was ever going to come back on the field for this team, but I'm glad I came back. And this coaching staff, training staff's amazing here now. It's always been, and I'm just glad to be back as a Steel City Patriot.
Now, as you've seen when you came back, we now have a really good starting quarterback. We have a good kicker, punter. We've got a good receiving core. Defense is really doing well, and the special teams. Do you feel that you're contributing to the team? And do you feel that there is more that you can do?
Yes, 100%. I think I can be more of a leader on this team. Our quarterback's good. Our special teams is good. Everything's flowing, and I play a big role in special teams, backup receiver. So if a guy goes down, I'm like the first one to get up in line, right beside the coach.
Now, what do you feel of the camaraderie on the team? Do you feel that the team's got a good bond to it?
Yeah, we got a good bond, a really good bond. Our bonding when we're not, when we're off, on, practices before, I think we have a really good bonding with, getting our groups together at a certain time and the 12-on-12 and specials, bonding with our social media receiver. We have a receiver group, and our offensive group. So we bond. We talk about things that we need to improve on, and just to work better towards that goal.
Now, coming up this weekend, the team's taking on the Sault Ste. Marie Steelers in the first round of the playoffs. How do you feel that it's going to go for the team?
I think it's going to go really good. Sioux's pretty far, so we should take full advantage of our home game, and we should be able to come out with a win. Feeling really confident about our team this year, and yeah.
Well, thank you for taking some time for me. This has been Andre Bailey, wide receiver for the Steel City Patriots, and you're listening to Patriot Talk Radio on Niagara Community Radio.
Thank you.
Little ones in a great big world.
Last one out gets eaten by a shark.
Whatever.
Shark! Too slow, little lungs.
In a great big world.
Welcome back to the show, and right now we're going to take a look at the community calendar brought to you by Pollard Windows, a proud Steel City Patriot sponsor for the 2019 season. The Steel City Patriots have been busy this season with Camp Day back in June for the Tim Horton Children's Foundation, and just this past couple weeks ago, the Steel City Patriots, represented by Antonio Lapien and Graham Kelly, were at Camp Waterdown, visiting with the kids there and giving them an opportunity to learn just a little bit about the game of football and how much fun it actually can be, in spite of all the stigma with concussions and that sort of thing. The guys had a great time over the course of 2 days over the weekend, teaching the kids how to throw, catch, run patterns, block, that sort of thing. Also gave the kids an opportunity to try on the equipment and get a chance to hit Antonio Lapien, who had a great time helping the kids out and showing them the great game of football. But the big project of the year this year was the Tackle Hunger Project for Purolator Courier. And we are proud to say that the Steel City Patriots averaged over 150 pounds of food over the course of the 4 home games. And God bless everybody. We gathered 326 pounds of food this past game against Tri-City, which is a Patriot record for us, and we delivered the food to the mission services over the course of this week. And apparently it was a good time for us to do that because they were really running low on food, and it gave them an opportunity to stock their shelves just a little bit so that those that are hungry and unable to afford a lot of food, an opportunity to get some food to keep them healthy. Coming up on Saturday, we will be taking on the Sioux Steelers at 6 p.m. at Cardinal Newman Stadium. And again, we will be gathering food for Purolator Courier. So we hope that if you are coming to the game, please be sure and continue your good work and bring some food for the Purolator Courier food drive. It not only makes you feel good, but it helps a lot of people who otherwise possibly couldn't have a decent meal. And it's something that's really near and dear to the hearts of all of us here at the Steel City Patriots. And we really want to say thank you to all of you for pitching in your canned goods and pasta, that sort of thing. Without you, this project is not a success. And it's a success on so many different levels, the CFL level, right down to the Northern Football Conference and our good friends out in Alberta. The Alberta Football League, they have been doing it as well. And it's been a success no matter where it's being done. So we want to thank all of you for taking part in Purolator's Tackle Hunger. When we come back, I've got yet another interview for you. That's right. We've got the one and only Wes Ayton, wide receiver for the Steel City Patriots. He's coming up next. You're listening to Patriot Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Sam Macbeth. We'll be right back after this.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Oxygen, America's favorite gas. Remember, 4 out of 5 doctors surveyed recommend Oxygen for their patients who breathe air.
Up next, we've got another great interview for you. We've got General Manager John Spice. He's going to take over the airwaves for the next little while and talk to you about all things SCP. We had a chance to talk yesterday after practice, and I think it's a great interview, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So let's sit back and relax and enjoy. This is General Manager John Spice.
With me now is Team General Manager John Spice. John, thanks for doing the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sammy.
Now, you've come to the team right at the beginning. How did it happen?
Oh, wow. So this team, I played for a lot of years myself in the league. And I guess one day, sitting in my backyard, well, you're with me, you know the story. We're talking about, having a team here, and, this was the time to have one. So, we sent out the paperwork to the league and found out what we needed for expansion, and got our management on board, and here we are.
Now, you've been with, as I said, we've been around, this is our 7th season, and you've seen the ups and the downs. How has the team grown, in your opinion?
Oh, wow. I think our team has grown a lot, just from the players that we've had. Our learning curves over the years from our losses and getting our wins. Obviously, our coaching staff this year has just been amazing. We've had a good coaching staff in the past, but nothing to what we have now. And the players are buying into it, and we're growing from that.
Now, going back to the beginning of SCP, there were times when we had one coach, and there was even a time when we had 0 coaches for a game, and you had to step up to coach. Is that the mentality of the team? Step up, help out?
Yeah, I think that's with our players and our coaches. Yeah, it's like our players are doing their best to help out in the situations. And of course, our coaches too. They're helping out when they can. If another coach has an issue, the other coach will help them out. So it's been really good. It's really good with where our staff's been.
Now, something that you've been kind of proud of is this year's community project that we've been doing with Purolator Courier, the Tackle Hunger program. How has it gone this season?
Oh, wow. It's been great. I don't have the final numbers in right now, but our last game we brought in 327 pounds of food. So that was that was like one of our best to this date. I took the food into St. Matthew's House this week, and they were really grateful. Their food, their shelves were getting kind of bare, and for us to bring that amount of food into them they were just so grateful, and they thanked us a lot for helping them out.
Now, getting back to the football end of it, other than the general manager duties that you take care of, what do you take care of on game day?
Wow, I could be here for a while with that, Sammy. For me, for game days, just getting the field set up with the field goal, the end zone markers, and helping get the water and our trainers set up. And if I have to, I'll do the water. If we don't need water boys, or I'll go up and I'll do stats. So there's a lot I do during game day, but I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I love this team, and this is it's more than a team for me. This is a family to me, and I'll do what I can to keep it going.
Now, speaking of family, we have a lot of family in the coaching ranks and staff. Starting off with Coach Jeff Brock and his dad are coaching together, and we have Chris Kosmierski Sr. and Jr., and coincidentally, they're a relative of yours. How does it feel to have family on board with the team?
Oh, well, Chris Sr., I've been bugging him for a lot of years to come out to coach for me. Chris Sr. is the reason why I got into football. When I moved to Hamilton from Belleville when I was 16, I played a couple years of rugby down there, and when I got to Hamilton, I went to Churchill, and they didn't have a rugby team, so I got into football, and Chris coached me a lot, kept me going. In the times when I felt like I was going to quit, he convinced me to stay in, and it was good to have him on the staff, and having Chris Jr., he's got a lot of experience too from his dad and from coaching over the years, so it's been great to have them on board.
Now, last year the team went 7-1. This year the team has gone 6-2. Do you feel that the 6-2 this year is an improvement on the 7-1?
You know what? I think it's about the same. Our season last year, we had a kind of an easier schedule than we did this year, but we got to look at our Ottawa game last year. If we didn't have a couple pick sixes during that game, we might have lost that game. So I kind of consider last year, even though we're 7-1, I kind of consider us being 6-2 because that game could have went either way. But yeah, I think it's a big improvement this year. Fortunately, we had a big hiccup in Sarnia when a few players weren't able to make it. Some guys who could have really helped us out. But I think there's a big improvement this year for the way our team's been going.
Now, Coach Barry Emo, head coach of the team, has been preaching this being a championship season. Is it a championship season potentially in your eyes?
Well, yeah. Well, when you go into the season every year hoping that, when I look at the caliber of players that we have and the way we're going, this could be a championship season all the way. Look what we did to our game against GTA. They were 4 or 5 time defending champs, and we basically held our offense out of the end zone. And we lost that game by 9 points by safety and a pick 6. You take away those, and who knows what could have happened. This team is talented, and they want this championship, and I believe that we have a great opportunity to get it.
Now, just a couple more questions. One, I want to get off the football subject for just a moment. You nominated Chris Kosmierski Sr. for the Adult Distinguished Volunteer Sports Award, and he has won the award and will be given the award in September at a ceremony by the city of Hamilton. How do you feel that he has got this accolade?
Wow, like I said, No, Chris is really deserving of this award. He's put a lot of years in coaching kids, both at football and hockey. He spent a lot of years coaching with the Flamborough Minor Hockey Association. Also he was coached with the Hamilton Hurricanes, and he helped out Waterdown High School and Churchill High School. So he's had a lot of years of coaching, and I think it's time for a coach of his caliber and the volunteer hours that he's put in to be recognized by the city.
Now, that's the one thing about the Patriots. We have a lot of award winners on the team. We've all won, pretty much the whole staff has won the award. I've won the Adult Distinguished Sports Volunteer Award. You've won it. Coach Kaz has won it. Coach Rob Tornafoglia has won it. How do you feel having won that award?
Wow, it was a great honor. All the years that I put in helping get this team going and that, it felt great to be recognized by my team and by my city for the hours that I've put in. It just felt great.
Now, just before I let you go, my last question. This week we take on the Sault Ste. Marie Steelers in the quarterfinals at Cardinal Newman at 6 p.m. Kickoff. How do you feel the game's going to go?
Wow. The Sioux they're tough opponents. They've been national champions. They were a program to beat at one time, especially when I played. They were really good. We can't take them lightly, even though they're kind of light on numbers right now. Nobody wants to make that 9-hour trek down here to lose. If that's what our guys are thinking, then we're going to be in for a long night. It's going to be a good game either way. Obviously, I want us to come out on top, and I believe we will. It's just going to be how our players approach this game. Are they going to be slacking, or are they going to come in focused and ready to go?
Well, thank you very much for taking your time. This has been General Manager John Spice of the Steel City Patriots, and you're listening to Patriot Talk Radio on Niagara Community Radio.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the show. Unfortunately, we have slowly run out of time for this edition of Patriots Talk Radio. I hope you enjoyed the show. We want to say a very special thank you to Offensive Coordinator Jeff Brock, Special Teams Coordinator Chris Kosmierski, Wide Receiver Andre Bailey, and General Manager John Spice for being on the show today. Next week we will have Wes Ayton's interview. We ran out of time, unfortunately. And we will have that interview next week for you, along with a few other great interviews. As we go into the bye week, we'll be taking a look back at the game summary, stats, all that sort of thing that we will be doing next week. But right now we want to remind you of the schedule for this week. If you are not able to get to the games because you're not sure where they are, here is the lineup for the week. It's the Tri-City Outlaws traveling to the GTA All-Stars. That game will be at Birchmount Stadium at 9 p.m. Note the start time, 9 p.m. The Ottawa Sooners will be traveling to Sudbury to James Jerome Stadium to take on the Sudbury Spartans. That game will be going at 7 p.m. The Oakville Longhorns will travel to Norm Perry Stadium in Sarnia, Ontario. They'll be taking on the Sarnia Imperials at 7 p.m. And the Sault Ste. Marie Steelers will be coming to Cardinal Newman Stadium for a 6 p.m. kickoff to take on the Steel City Patriots. Tickets are on sale at the gate for $10, and kids under 12 get in for free. So be sure and come on by, and don't forget to bring your non-perishable food items, and we will make sure that they get distributed to Mission Service or to St. Matthew's House in Hamilton on your behalf. In the meantime, I want to thank you all for taking part. Talk to you next week. In the meantime, see you on Monday on Power Hit Radio. I'm your host, Sam Macbeth.